What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
Here's what's up on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Buckeyes in the middle of their bye week. Players, I'm assuming, going to use some work here in the middle of the week and a little bit of a downturn. But at the same time, when you are perfect and you are chasing perfection, there's a relentlessness that comes with that. And I do think that is something that is going to be very interesting to watch this year and as this season goes along for this Ohio State football team, which will, I guess, technically won't start their second half of the season if you play for a national championship. And at this point, we're just assuming that they will, which is crazy, until after the Penn State game. You can have 8 more games to go after that if you're going to win a national championship. But this notion of chasing perfection, is that something that in this day and age in college football that a program even ought to attempt to do? Is it something more similar to an NFL perspective where take a lump here or there, just get in the dance and get hot at the right time and away that you go? I think this is something there's going to be an evolution to in how college football coaches coach. Because when you're talking about a season this long, in the old days you had to be perfect every week because that was the only way to guarantee you could play for a national title. Now you don't. You don't have to be perfect every week. You can slow play this thing. You can build. You can take a loss. Oregon is no worse off having lost to Indiana than they were if they would have beaten Indiana. Doesn't change anything for them. They're still right in the middle of this thing. All those SEC teams with losses. Alabama lost their first game of the year to Florida State, who's terrible. And where is Bama ranked? 5th? Somewhere in there? Like, you can flip this thing very quickly unless you have something bigger in mind. And my hunch is this is what Ryan Day and Ohio State has in mind. I think Ohio State's chasing perfection this year. I think they're trying to do something that hasn't been done. I think they're trying to go 16-0. I think they're trying to win every week. And I think they're trying to repeat as national champions, something that's never been done here and has been done very rarely ever. To me, that's what this feels like, that the opportunity is there. Some of the things that have happened with the schedule allow for it. Penn State isn't the robust test that you thought it was going to be when the schedule came out. Certainly that game in Ann Arbor is going to have your full attention. Certainly the Big Ten Championships game is going to have your full attention, but you're not going to – the amount of emphasis that are going to be on those games, that sells itself. It's everything else week in, week out to keep that edge sharp to chase the ultimate prize of history. And that's really what I think Ohio State is after a little bit here. Ryan Day was available yesterday, as he typically is, and the challenge this week is giving everybody a little bit of rest, but also keeping that edge sharp.
Some guys need to heal. Some guys need reps. Some guys need more fundamental work. Everybody's a little bit different, but I think it is good, for us on, Sunday and on Monday to get away. Don't think about football for a little while. Come back, regroup, put Saturday's game to bed, and then we have, some really good practices this week on what we need to get done. So we know during the bye week is a good opportunity to take a step back. We always try to stay focused on the week at hand. This is a good time to take a step back and realize that we need to get certain things fixed, address some things, and then take a picture at the run that we're about to make and what we need to get done during the run, because once Sunday hits, it's right on to Penn State.
Should a college football team in this position chase perfection?
In this position, you mean Ohio State? Yes.
That's right.
I think for historic purposes, yes, you chase that perfect record. You exercise that demon in Michigan. But any other college football program, I think you chase perfection in what you do every day. Mm-hmm. I don't think you chase perfection from a record standpoint. And I think if Ohio State is, whatever happens at the end of this season, so long as you've beaten Michigan, I think the chasing a perfect record becomes less and less. I think for right now, in the window that you are in for Ryan Day and this football team, yes, mm-hmm. you chase perfection from the record standpoint to do everything that you had said. Because that does include, obviously, you exercise Michigan, mm-hmm. you go to Indianapolis for the first time in what feels like a long time, you win the Big Ten championship the first time in a long time, you get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. and then you repeat as national champions. You complete all of that history is incredible coming out. Like the incredible what I just said for Ohio State to do, it would be nuts. But I think that is what they are chasing right now in this moment.
I mean, Herm Edwards said it, right? You play to win the game.
Sure.
I think you should chase perfection. But in this day and age, I don't think you should fear a loss. And in fact, sometimes we all know a loss can be more beneficial if you handle it the right way and look at it the right way than a win sometimes, because you can find your mistakes and you can correct them. Winning a lot of times masks imperfections. I also think it may be different depending on the team. Could every team have handled what this Ohio State team did last year? Maybe not, but you have a veteran group, a really solid core of good leaders that have been there before. And I think, and you kind of heard it a little bit with Bill Rabinowitz's reporting, like I think a lot of that run that Ohio State went on was due to the leadership of those players and the fact that they stood up and said, hey, enough is enough. So I don't know if every team can handle it that way, but I do believe you should chase perfection, but not fear if you don't get it.
I like the way you phrase that. You mentioned the Herm Edwards line, you play to win the game, right? I mean, that's the line. Bill Belichick never said the line. He never said it. But in New England, it was well known that what they were worried about was everything after Thanksgiving. That's what they were worried about, was after Thanksgiving, that's when we need to be at our best. And the one year that they chased perfection, they came up short in the Super Bowl. Won every game except for the Super Bowl, thanks to David Tyree and catching it on his head. But the reality, I think, is I think you both have it. I think you chase perfection when perfection kind of falls in your lap. This team is so much better than I think most people thought it would be sooner. I think most people thought that there was a chance that this team, because you know what happens in recruiting, you know what happened, how they were, again, very pointed in the portal and got kind of the things that they needed, but also you knew the recruiting. And you knew that you knew what Julian Saint's pedigree was. You knew what that defensive pedigree was. You just had to see it come together. So it's come together quicker than I think anybody nationally thought, and quite honestly, even faster than some of us locally probably thought. They're better faster, certainly defensively. I mean, this is historically defensively. So I think what happens is once you're better quicker than most people think, then it's like almost, well, if we haven't lost yet, what's the point in that now? Like now that you're in it, it's like go chase it.
Yeah, I wonder if like in 2002 they realized what they had and like, oh, perfection, let's go get that.
I don't think so. You'd have to talk to, Wilhelm and Krenzel and those guys that were on that team that were in the middle of it. My hunch is that in that day and age, and you have to remember, like if you go look at like 2002, so many of those games, it was just like survive and advance, survive and advance, survive and advance. And
all
then
about survival.
All of it, almost.
That's all
the
it
whole
was.
season.
And then you wake up and you're 12-0 after beating Michigan. You go, my God, okay, I guess we're going to play for a national championship. It's really not like that anymore around here. Now there's this, and I think Urban changed that, where, for Tress, it was all that mattered was beating Michigan. And then if good things came after that, so be it. Beat Michigan, win the Big Ten. That was the marching orders. Then Urban, it became beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. And for Ryan now, it's like win the national championship every year. I mean, it's a crazy thing to try to live up to, and it's never been more difficult to do it. And so I think you can now see a big picture different than you did 20 years ago.
Well, and that's because college football has changed, right?
Completely.
You couldn't get that final thing without beating Michigan. You couldn't win the Big Ten championship without beating Michigan. You couldn't play for a national championship. Well, you didn't even play for it then. I guess for the longest time it was just voted on, going to the Rose Bowl and then hoping you got voted for a national championship, and then the BCS came around and whatnot. So when the rules change, I guess we have to change our thinking about everything too.
Yeah, this will be. I think the challenge for Ryan is how do you keep that edge sharp, but don't make it so sharp that it becomes breakable. That's the challenge every week, is to do that and to build and to get better and better. And I think he's done a masterclass of it to this point. You see it offensively, unlocking a little more every week. Last week was different than any other game that we'd seen where they threw it to run it. They said, the hell with it. We got the best quarterback in the country. We got the best receivers in the country. We have a really good offensive line. We're just going to spin it. And Wisconsin, we dare you to keep up. But in this year in college football, the Buckeyes feel like one of one. Coming up next, we'll take a look at a soft college football weekend that is littered with potholes for teams that are already flawed. We'll get to it coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.